If anybody thinks that, they're out of their mind.
That's part of the clip for Nadine Dorris's new show on Friday, interviewing Boris, and he has no regrets. But just before that, I'm going to show quite a funny clip and show you the level of quality that Talk TV now have in their presenters. Have a listen to this.
As you were, Sunak's stability extends to the cabinet with the big beefsteak and all cages but Braverman back at home in the Home Office. Sorry, I've just completely messed up.
Anybody who thinks I was knowingly going to parties.
I will play the whole clip in a minute, but I'm going to have a quick recap on exactly what took place and what was questioned to Boris, and then give you context for why this is just absolutely insane.
At the height of the lockdown restrictions in 2020, my constituent, who's worked for the NHS for over 30 years, was diagnosed with a tumour on her spine. Whilst in hospital undergoing painful surgery, her family obeyed the rules and didn't visit her. Mr. Speaker, in the last few minutes, a photo has emerged of the Prime Minister in Downing Street on the 15th of December 2020, surrounded by alcohol, food and people wearing tinsel. It looks a lot like one of the Christmas parties he told us never happened. So for the sake of my constituent and the sacrifices she made, will the Prime Minister be referring this party to the police, as it's not one of the ones already being investigated?
But in what he has just said, I'm afraid he is completely in error.
Here's Nadine Dorris defending those parties.
They weren't parties.
And she always seems to claim that Boris tells the truth. However, we know in 1988 he was sacked from a newspaper because he lied by using quotes from his godfather that were made up. He was caught out again in 2004 and fired from the front bench of the Tory party for lying to the leader of the party about having a 4-year affair. In the build-up to the Sue Gray report, we saw him shake his head repeatedly in regards to questioning about whether or not he attended parties.
Those were meetings of people at work, talking about work. No rules were broken. All the guidelines were observed.
However, the Sue Gray report, commissioned by the Prime Minister, clearly showed that huge rule breaking had been taking place. In fact, 10 Downing Street was the key location for breaking rules during lockdown, and she blamed the Prime Minister and the leadership. Doris then said, let's wait and see what the Met Police have to say.
Let's wait and see what the Met say.
But this wasn't repeated through the back benches.
Does the Prime Minister think I'm a fool?
I have to tell him he no longer enjoys my support.
In the name of God, go.
And eventually the Tory party got rid of him.
Anybody who thinks I was knowingly going to parties that were breaking lockdown rules in number 10 or then knowingly covering up parties that were illicit, that were other people going to... That's all strictly for the birds. If anybody thinks that, they're out of their mind.
The person he commissioned thinks it, the police think it because they find him, the public think it, and he's still on TV brazenly saying none of it happened. And Doris is sat there nodding her head as if none of it actually took place. After everything I've just shown you, including his own backbenchers, there are still people trying to get that moron back into power. It's disturbing, and quite frankly, there are warnings from history about people like this. And I am in little to no doubt that people from history would say he's a threat to democracy. And on that note, I want to say a big thank you to all of my Patreon and YouTube supporters. You help keep this channel going and growing. If you'd like to support the channel, links are in the description. Otherwise, feel free to just click the like button. It's free, and the more likes, the more coffee I can buy, and the more coffee I can buy, the more I'm able to keep up with all the crazy stories.